Yeah.
You were talking before about giving and give and take stuff, but it's really been fully aware too when we're giving. Some things aren't loving when we're giving out, because I've learnt that lesson where I thought I was always giving because I was loving.
Yeah.
None of it was. I wasn't loving to myself. I was over giving.
Yeah. What happened there was I was in England at the time, and I woke up one morning. And I just had this major realisation, and soul realisations are like light bulb moments, aren't they? You know, just bang, you've got them. And this major realisation that every time I had a desire for something outside of myself, aside from my desire for God, because God can fulfil all my desires, right? But every time I have a desire for something outside of myself that has nothing to do with God, I am setting up the possibility, and the most likely possibility, of my being disappointed. And as soon as I do that, obviously I'm going to set up the emotional possibility of having lots of pain and hurt as well. So then I realised that I had to... But I had to deal with this emotionally. I can't deal with this intellectually, right? Every time you try and deal with something intellectually, you skip over heaps of emotions. So what I had to do then was I had to work through the emotions of what I was desiring outside of myself and why. So, for example, I was desiring people to treat me justly. For example, I give my time freely to people, and yet very few in the past have done the same for themselves. Most people have wanted to charge me for anything they've given me. And there's a feeling of injustice inside me about that, right? And the feeling of injustice has been created because I've set it up. I've set it up because I've actually had this desire for something outside of myself. Does that make sense? And because I've had this desire for something outside of myself, which is for somebody else to treat me justly, I'm going to be disappointed. Now, what I've had to do emotionally is I've had to then go into the emotion of I feel injustice. I've had to go into the injustice and actually feel the injustice in every single thing that's been unjust in my life. And given 2,000 years, that's quite a few things, right? So I've had to work my way through those emotions. And emotionally give up the need for anybody outside of myself to give me anything. Now that's a huge thing to deal with. And when you come to dealing with those kind of issues yourself, if you haven't already, you'll find that that's huge, giving up all of those kind of issues. And the key thing to bear in mind with all of this is that God gives her love and does not expect anything in return. What can you give God? There's only one thing. Your love. That's the only thing you can give God that God doesn't already have. Because God gave you the free will to express your love. Right? So the only thing that you do not already, that God doesn't already have, that God didn't already make in you, is the love that you are able to give to God. That's the only thing that doesn't exist. And God doesn't expect it of you. If she expected it of you, she'd be highly disappointed. Because if she expected it of everyone in the universe, there's very, very few people in the universe who truly love God. And so what would be occurring? She'd be always crying. None of my children love me. That's what she'd be feeling, wouldn't she? If she expected it.
Then she wouldn't have given us free will.
That's right. So obviously, you know, in looking at God and the relationship that we have with God, we learn a lot about what we will need to give up. And so I had a lot of realisations over a period over these last, in particular, last 6 months probably, and particularly in meeting my soulmate, I've had a lot of these realisations that have helped me start working through all of these things. So it's been quite difficult. Do you want to hear some more?
Yes.
Just excuse me.
Yeah.
The last one you said about when you're in Switzerland, can you just repeat the final bit, how you got to the emotion that you were trying to avoid?
Oh yeah, I said, I want Mary to treat me well.
Yeah.
But I'm avoiding feeling like nobody wants to treat me well, that I'm unloved and hated and rejected. By my soulmate specifically.